goes live. All right. Yeah, that looks like it's live now. So, hey everybody, welcome to the channel. As always, thanks for stopping by and hanging out for a few. My name is Rich Charpentier. I'm the channel host, and I'm doing it again. I'm trying another live stream. And no, I didn't put an announcement out there. I'm still testing some things out with the live streams. So we're going to see how this one goes. Number one, I've had some inquiries from folks on channel who've said that the audio's been a little too low. I don't think they were saying that about the live stream, but let me know when you check this one out today if you don't pop into the stream, but you catch this later in the day and watch it afterward. Let me know how the audio sounds. I've tweaked some things in OBS. I've made some changes on the Blue Yeti, so we're going to see if the audio is a little better. And I'm also turning my screen audio off so that it doesn't play anything back. So I've decided, I'm thinking here that what I'd like to do is every Monday morning, somewhere between 8 and 9, to do a live stream recapping last week and then talking about what work and what things I'm going to be doing this week. Just to, to establish a regular, consistent time for doing one of these, sharing things with you guys, and and setting up what the work week's going to look like. So before we heavily go down the road of the drone stuff, we're all not having any joy with what's going on in the greater world right now, and to all those folks who are suffering through it, hang in there. I hope that things improve. We've been doing the social distancing. We've been we've been doing the shelter at home, and really trying to avoid this and avoid the spread of it. So I hope everyone's safe and secure at your own homes or your offices, and that you're taking all the precautions you need to. In the case here, so I'm the only gainfully employed person in here right now. Last week, Jody got laid off. As business is downturning everywhere. I've got friends with businesses in downtown Prescott. Most of those businesses are currently closed up for the duration of the crisis. So, I'm still able to get some work done since a lot of my work is remote when I'm doing website work or when I'm doing drone work. I have been able to avoid the general public, and I'm going to keep doing that till they say otherwise. So it's been a spooky time, and hearing from friends and family all over the country, it's hitting us all, and I just hope we see improvement soon. So I'm going to keep a happy thought about that. Now, I was contacted last week by one of my clients who had pushed some dates out because of all of this, but their construction did resume last week, so they were wondering if I could pop by the ranch location over the weekend and do another progression flight for them, which I was really happy to do. Gets me out there. There was nobody on the job site whatsoever. So with all the stuff that's going on, a lot of construction sites have closed down. The workers are not on the job at the moment. In other areas, there are some, still doing their construction. But, if you can stay away from crowds, stay away from people, and you've got some of these open construction sites where you can legally fly, this might be a great time for you to get some practice in on the construction sites, provided that you're doing everything else to, stay away from other people and interacting with other people. So this particular job site for an individual doing some major changes to their ranch. I'm just pulling this video back here really quick. So this was the original flight for them in January, where I sat down with the client and we picked the video orbit that we wanted to do and the still image orbit that we wanted to do. And sorry, I'm going to check over on the other screen occasionally to see if there's anybody in the live chat. I'm still getting used to this. So what you're looking at right now is some of the flight from January for this particular ranch. So before any of the major changes on the location started. So we see, we've got their fence down here and the home in the distance, and they're setting up this whole new horse ranch property, which has been pretty amazing to watch. So Like I said, this was shot way back in January. I'm going to go ahead and stop that one. And let's go down and take a second look. So there we go. So this was just shot over the weekend. So yesterday, Sunday, took a ride out into the middle of nowhere outside of the Prescott area, and showed up at this location to document the major changes in the construction that's been going on this property. As you can see already, some huge changes. So I was super excited to be out there. Also, getting out of the house was nice. But getting out on location, nobody else around, and seeing the massive changes that have occurred on the property is just, it was mind-blowing. I was thrilled to pieces. Jody was along as visual observer for me yesterday. So she got to also see the changes. She went out there prior to when all of this happened. So they have come an extremely long way in a relatively short amount of time, given all the weather and now the medical issues and everything. I was incredibly impressed. So you can see all that clearing, and let's pull up the other one real quick. Similar locations. There we go. I'll put it right about there. So there is January, I think either 8th or 18th. I can't remember. And then here we are in April. And wow, a lot of that clearing has been completed. They've actually started getting the foundation area ready. I'm just swinging over to here real quick, as you can see, getting the foundation area ready for the new barn for the horses. And then they're going to have several other areas for the horses. So this is going to be, the completion of this project is going to be amazing. So I'm getting excited to see the final changes there. And just hitting the playthrough. So right now, none of this video has been edited. This is, right from the drone. And I do have to say there were some major challenges with the wind yesterday. So 17 miles an hour sustained, gusts into the 20s. So I'm going to be doing some cleanup on some of the video as I do the time-lapse video for the client. But take a look at that. I'm just going to pause that right there. Weeks ago, none of this was here. So it's always amazing to see the changes. And while I've worked on projects that move along a lot faster, like single family homes or multi-family residences as well, this is a small private project, but it sure has moved along very quickly. So very impressive to see. And I was getting just super excited with some of the still images yesterday for the still time-lapse photos that I'm doing for them as well. As I was flying it, I was just thrilled to pieces at where we picked the still images, myself and the property owner, months ago. And that's a big part of getting it right the first time before you start laying out all of these autonomous flights, to actually get together with the property owner or the construction foreman, whoever it is, the representative of the site, to pick the images and the video flight paths with the customers goes a long way to making those customers happy. As a matter of fact, last week I got a fantastic email from another one of my construction clients down in the valley. I had to take a pass on one of their projects recently. I didn't have time to get it started when they were starting, so I didn't have much notice. They are working with someone else, not the company that I had recommended to them. They were shopping around, and I don't know if the other guys were too busy as well. Whatever it was, they dropped a note to let me know that they put it in an interesting way. They said the quality of my presentation far surpasses the presentations they're getting from the new group that they're working with down in Phoenix. So sorry to hear that they're not getting exactly what they're looking for. That's not as easy to use. I know a big part of their satisfaction happens to be how we're doing the website deliverables. And if you haven't seen anything about the website deliverables on this channel, I've got a lot of items about construction progression deliverables on the YouTube channel. So when you're on my channel and you use the search on my channel, just look up construction drone progression and deliverables, and you'll find those videos. So you'll see what I'm talking about and why the clients were so happy with that. So thrilled to pieces to get an email like that. And also apparently Very stellar submission to the Better Business Bureau, so I appreciate that. I just have to give them a reminder to pop a Google review up there too, because, we all depend on Google reviews so much. So yesterday's flight was awesome. I'm not kidding. I was actually kind of giddy as I was flying this, seeing how well our paths worked out, how well imaging this location for my clients has come along, and blown away by the progress of the overall build. So there you go. I'm going to go ahead and close that one. We're going to open another one down here. There we go. So just a different flight path. I'm just going to move that up as we're talking. So I had made a second flight path for fun that wasn't included with the client for, wasn't picked out for their overall progressions, but I'm going to be using some of this. There's just some interesting scenes. So one of the really nice things when you're doing all these flights and you're doing your video editing, you can pick the clips you want to use. You're not going to run an entire 8-minute clip of a flight around a property. That's getting way too long, and not everything shown is what you really want to focus on. It's not of interest. So you want to show those major progression areas. So a lot of the video on this particular one is a little jerky. And I think, the gimbal was really working against some pretty heavy winds. So I noticed in this particular flight, as I was looking at it, I was not satisfied with what's coming up a little later. And why won't that little... There it goes. Now that little bar's gone away, and now it's back. Fine. Like I said, no net here. What drone did I use for Sunday's flight? So I actually used 2 drones, Tyler. I used the Mavic Pro 2 for the main flights, and in a few minutes we're going to come up on looking at Drone Harmony and a test I did with Drone Harmony. And the Drone Harmony test, I actually used the Mavic 1, so the Mavic Pro. So for my main flights here, I had preset everything up with the client in January, utilizing the Mavic 2 Pro, Ground Station Pro, and Litchi. So what you're seeing right now here is the Litchi flight app. It's following its path. So, and by the way, thanks for asking. And I got to remind myself to look over at the chats here. But as you can see right in here where I've got the wind, we're going to notice some jerky behavior with the gimbal. I've flown the same flight path before and it's been much smoother. So you see that jerk and bounce right now. I did have notifications coming up on the drone controller and on the iPad letting me know that that there were some pretty strong winds. So that popped up here and there, cautioned me on the flight. You can see that with the tree there going by. Yeah, so I was not happy with this part of the video with the jerking around. Fortunately, I can clip these areas and I can also do some smoothing in Final Cut Pro. As look at that, it's jerk, 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 jerk. Not what I wanted out of this at all. The previous flight over the same exact area was much smoother, so I did have the challenge of the winds. I was looking at the forecast because Saturday or Sunday was good. The property owner had let me know that there'd be nobody on site, so the whole social distancing thing. And you can see the drone coming back in here as we were doing got my visual observer right there, and I've actually got the tripod set up. So what was really nice is I've got a shaded area so I can see everything going on screen. All right, let's go ahead and close that one. So once again, for that bit of stuttery flight, that was the Mavic 2 Pro. That is not normal for it. So that was a little disappointing. Going back to that January flight, very nice and smooth. And I also did a little extra in Final Cut Pro afterwards. So you could definitely see it in this weekend's video that, yeah, I've got some extra work to do to clean that up and match it up nicely. And what can I say? It's northern Arizona. It's windy here in the spring, and it's going to continue to be so for weeks, if not a couple of months. That's just the way it is up here in the mountains. All right, so I'm going to close this one down, and now what I'm going to pull up next, while I was on location, while I was at the client site, I decided to bring the Android along, and so I got the Android sitting right up here. I don't know if you see that on screen or not because there's a delay on the screen over here for me. But I brought Drone Harmony along as I'm putting together some more tutorials on Drone Harmony. So I did some recordings over the weekend on setting up a really simple flight to generate an orthomosaic, so a two-dimensional model. And I went ahead and used Drone Harmony for this one. So I'd already set up in a previous video, and you'll be seeing parts of this video down the road on YouTube. I pre-set up the flight path and everything. So over on the right-hand side, I've got this plus 200, and when I click on that, it's going to show the actual flight area. And I went ahead and used Drone Harmony to fly a very similar area to what I've been flying with Ground Station Pro. And I have to say, overall, it was a pretty successful flight. My apologies for the video fuzzing in and out here. That's something that seems to occur with the video capture app that I'm using on the Android. But once it comes back in, it cleans up all the text. But so what I'm doing right here, right now, is I'm actually setting up the launch and landing location for Drone Harmony for doing this top-down grid model. I'm just going to fast forward through here, but what you can see now on the left-hand side, this is the flight path that I'm going to have. So you can see the little drone symbol flying along the rows here to capture the images for my orthomosaic. The one issue that I ran into it with this, and I already let Drone Harmony know, there's no kind of calculation for what speed you should be flying the drone at when you're doing some of this modeling with Drone Harmony. So I'd actually contacted them and said, is there a suggested speed? Do you have an idea on how fast or how slow I should use the drone on this type of modeling session versus other modeling sessions? So that's something that they're going to look into adding in. When I use Ground Station Pro, when I use Map Pilot, there are suggested flight speeds based on my elevation. And then Map Pilot takes it even further. And depending on my lighting conditions, Map Pilot might ratchet my speed down on me, which actually is useful in some instances. In the end, I set the flight speed of this one. Let's fast forward through this. So there we go. There's my final flight path. Everything being shot from 200 feet above ground level, from 200 feet above where I started. Now, right here in the Drone Harmony interface, you can see when I'm getting ready to fly the flight, when I'm getting ready to put the drone up in the air, when you first start to get ready to do the flight, the first screen you get is set the flight speed. So right there, it was at 4.6 miles per hour. I did move it up to close to 10 miles per hour. I was trying to mirror what I was doing in Ground Station Pro, which was the official flight for the client. So I actually, there you go on the screen here, you see, here's my mouse, that I'm moving it up to, I believe 10 miles an hour is what I set it to. And I feel like maybe that was a little too fast, especially with the winds yesterday. But the model did actually work out okay. It's not terrible, and I'll pull that up for you in a minute. But so continuing on through Drone Harmony, as you're getting ready to launch, you get to set your return to home, set mission end action, set signal loss action. So when you first lay out the missions in Drone Harmony, so when you're in the office, you're not on the location, and you're just picking what you're going to be flying, there's still more to come. So when you get to the job location and you hit that play button, you still have a lot more questions to answer and a lot more things to configure. So if you've ever looked at Drone Harmony and you've set up potential flight paths, but you've never flown them, and you said, I don't know where flight speed is, I don't know where return to home is, that's in the final setup when you're in the field, when you're launching the mission. So I'm going to move this forward a little more. Let's go ahead and actually, I'm going to rewind right here. So when you've gone through all of the Drone Harmony questions and setup and settings and you're on location, over here on the right-hand side where my mouse is zipping around, this is where it's loading the mission to the drone. And then the drone is going to automatically take off and execute the mission. So as I've been getting more and more used to Drone Harmony, I don't know about you, but the first time I ever did an autonomous drone flight, it was terrifying. The drone's not in my control. The drone is under the software's control. And is everything going to go right? And everything went very well with it. So I have not had any issues with Drone Harmony where I've had loss of signal or anything, or where I had to stop the mission for fear of doing something to the drone. By the way, this particular mission, once again, was flown with the Mavic Pro. So that's the first Mavic and not the Mavic 2 Pro. So I had my setup, the Mavic 2 Pro, for all of the official stuff I was doing on the job site, was sitting to one side, and the Mavic Pro and its setup was sitting to another side. So so we were using multiple drones on the site. And I think my next test with Drone Harmony will be doing the Mavic 2 Pro as well. So now what we're seeing is actually Drone Harmony executing the flight and taking the photos. Let's click on that again. There we go. So you see it taking each of the photos, and then in the right-hand corner, that X symbol, you can actually X out of the visual here, and you can look back at the map, which is another thing that I did on this. So let's fast forward. So now we can see on the map here, over on the left-hand side, you see the little camera symbols. So that's where it's taken its photos, and there's the drone actually moving along its flight path. And there it is coming out from under that little bar. All right, so there's the drone coming from out from under that, and we're still getting those pictures taken, so it's shooting each of the photos, which is fantastic. The flight went well, and now you see it says new media type JPEG, so with each photo, it actually gives you that label. There's another one, new media type, so you can see the labeling of each of the shots as the drone is moving along. And as you can see on this particular flight path, the drone's got a ways to go. So when I'm assembling all of this for the final tutorial, I'll be speeding some of this up because nobody needs to sit here and watch every single image get dropped off. Like I said, the nice thing, I got back to the home office yesterday. I offloaded this flight first instead of, usually I'd offload the flights that are for the client, but I was too excited to see this one. I wanted to see how well it performed and if it did everything I needed it to do. So, hey, have you ever done any testing on DroneLink? No, I can't say that I've tried out DroneLink at all, but now that you've asked that question, I'll be looking it up when I'm done with this live stream. I always like seeing new stuff, and I'm actually going to be talking about something else. Oh, that's where I stopped this particular recording. So the mission was still going on. I just stopped the Mobizen recording at the time, and I did actually pick up with another recording. Let's see, raw video, lesson 2. Let's grab that one. And so you can see further on, the mission is continuing. I just stopped it for a few because it was going to take a while, and I didn't want to take up all that storage space on the Android. But yeah, I will check out DroneLink after I'm done with this. And I'm also talking to an Australian-based group. So Dustin, I got your email this morning, and I'll be following up. So there will be something else coming up probably in the next week here on channel about something called SOAR, and that's all I'm going to say. And I'll drop you a note, and we'll talk about it, Dustin. And thanks for getting in touch again. Hadn't forgotten you, just a couple other projects going on. So as you see on the screen here, that little drone, the little drone that could, it's still making its way through the entire mission. And it took less than a battery on this one, so it was fantastic. By the way, the return to home feature, when you first launch your mission, Drone Harmony is going to ask you, where do you want to launch from? Where do you want to land? And Drone Harmony did a really stellar job on return to home and landing on my helipad that I had. The one strange thing that happened yesterday, you can see it on screen right now. See how slow the drone's moving? There was a moment right there where the drone almost came to a full and complete stop. There was a lot of wind going on. I don't know if the drone was compensating for the wind, but right in this area, it slowed down. It came to an almost complete stop. And then it started moving forward again and continuing on its merry way and going at the speed that I had set, that close to 10 miles an hour there. So that one little stop was a question mark in my head. I don't know what caused it. And I'm going to have to look into it again, and I'll probably drop Drone Harmony a note about that and say, have you ever seen anything like this before? Because it really did stop for a few. I looked over at Jody and I said, it's not really coming toward us at the speed it was. So we both watched it, and then we also watched it resume. So that was a head scratcher. It didn't seem to impact the final ortho model or the images. I went through and took a look at the images after individually, and nothing terribly blurry or anything weird in that area, but just a strange little glitch. So that was the only strange thing I ran into. And like I said, the return to home after the landing executed it perfectly. So in the end, I feel very comfortable using Drone Harmony for doing orthos and 2D models, with the exception of those couple of little questions I have for them, like could you give a recommended flight speed based on elevation and the number of images I'm looking for. So we'll hear back from them on that. I'm certain they're definitely looking to improve the platform and get the interest of more Android users out there for using this in higher end construction projects, because some of the flight plans they have are absolutely amazing, and you'll be seeing those here soon. So the 3D modeling possibilities with Drone Harmony is compelling to me. So that's why I'm all excited. Sorry about that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and shut this one down. So, or actually, I'll let it run here. So what's going on for the rest of the week here? I've already started pre-recording some new stuff for a series. We're going to be doing the anatomy of a drone construction project. So I'm taking all of the video that I've put together for one of my clients. We're going to walk through from when I first got the phone call inquiring about the job to actually landing the job, because I did a couple extra things because I really wanted to do this particular job. And then after landing the job, talking about setting up our flight paths, talking about why I chose particular applications, and there we go. I'm sorry I got thrown off. Tyler, the spacing of when to take photos, do you set that or did the software? The software actually had the recommended spacing. And when you go to launch, the mission, you're given another option about the distance between them. So one of the big things in spacing is how you set your overlap. And see, I just pulled the image screen back up again. But the more overlap you put in, so that your images are overlapping one another, the more overlap you put in, the closer together those images are going to be. And higher levels of overlap are great for when we're looking at 3D models. Since I was doing a 2D model here, I wasn't so concerned about the overlap because this was for a test. But the more overlap and the closer together these images are, the more that the modeling software has to refer to put your final model together. So when I'm looking to do 3D models, I'm doing a lot more overlap. I think on this one it was either 60 or 70% overlap. I'm leaning more toward the 60 side. And because I said to myself, you're only doing a 2D. But yeah, so that spacing, Drone Harmony actually put that spacing in there based on my answers to their earlier questions, including the overlap was one of the big questions. So if you really want to make sure that you're putting things together well and you've got a 3D model in mind, the more overlap, the better. The slower the flight, the better. That's one of the other things to note. If you say to yourself, hey, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do this model, I'm going to do this ortho mosaic over this big property, and I'm going to fly at 30 miles an hour, you're going to have a bad model. The more that you slow the drone down, if you have the batteries to do it, the better quality models you're going to make, both 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional. All right, let me stop this screen and let's just go take a look. I hadn't finished processing it, but since we're here, I might as well throw this up there, and then I'll be wrapping this one up. Let me click on Metashape Pro real quick, and we'll get that up on location. Yesterday it was lunchtime, and I just ignored lunch, ran in here because I like to see what I got. And let's zoom this out. So right now we're looking at the overall chunk and the cameras and the camera alignment, and it wasn't looking so great to me down here in in the southwest corner. I was a little concerned about that. So I ran the dense cloud. I didn't run the rest of the modeling, but I did run the dense cloud, and nice job. So once again, I didn't. This came out good. So I actually can see all the detail in here, and I still haven't even finished running this yet. I haven't done the next step I should do is build the mesh, build the digital elevation model, and then build the actual ortho. But just looking at that dense cloud, I'm pretty satisfied. I'm not hired to do 3D models for this client, but I've been including these 2D models for them because they like them. So one of the things you can see, once again, this was drone harmony shooting straight down at the 90 degrees. When I tilt this model, you can see, oh yeah, no edge detail whatsoever. And that's not drone harmony's fault. That's my fault for having it shooting straight down. Of course, it's going to miss building sides and things. But when we look at it, just as a 2D model, this did a very nice job. It meshes well with the work that I've done on Ground Station Pro for this particular client. So overall, very satisfied. When I go back out to this job site again, I'm going to be going out there next week. I'm going to bring drone harmony along again. I'm going to slow it down a little more, and I think I'm going to put the Harmony did a nice job on this, and it's on par with what I got out of Ground Station Pro as well. So stay tuned for next week. I'll do a follow-up on this one, and we can talk more about it. Also, questions and comments. The rest of this week is going to be me working on the new project. I'm also working on some other drone harmony tutorials. And then in the near future, I think I need to revisit some Map Pilot tutorials and some Ground Station Pro tutorials just because of some questions I've been getting lately. And it says to me that there's definitely room in my inventory of tools for drone harmony as well. I'm looking forward to doing some 3D modeling with it. That's where I'm going to find out. That's what I'm hoping it's going to be really good for me. I'll say it that way. Because Drone Harmony has a couple of interesting flight paths for doing facades and doing 3D that you won't see on any other apps so far. I see one more. Oh, Marv, really informative. Well, thanks. I'm glad you liked it. I hope I didn't go too long. I don't even know how long this has gone. I'm still getting used to OBS, but provided all the rest of the comments here are enthused, plan on seeing these on Monday, this client job. And stay safe and stay healthy, everybody. We'll get through this. And in the meantime, use it as a learning opportunity for your drone work or your Final Cut work, or maybe you want to learn programming. Whatever it is, we do have an opportunity to better ourselves during a stressful situation. So I hope you're doing that too. And we'll see you again real soon. Thanks for stopping in. And Marv and Tyler, thanks for hanging out on here. This has been awesome. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you again soon. End stream. And there we go.